We are live. I am here tonight for tonight's fourth, or actually third edition of Casual Conversations. And tonight, our guest artist is Charles Bruffy. He is one of the greatest conductors in the country. He has an extraordinary ability to transform the printed score into the most vivid images and emotional states. His interpretations are leaving an indelible impression on the history of American choral performance. Charles Bruffy, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad to be here with you. And I'm so impressed with your technological skills. You just push a button and look what you did.
Hey, we got you live here, man. That's what they taught me back in Memphis, back in
Wow,
my
I need to
hometown.
try that. I need to go there.
Yeah, I think you should go there, have some barbecue at the Rendezvous, go and see Graceland, and have a good trip. Got to get to Beale Street too.
There you go.
Well, it's so great to have you on Classical Minnesota Public Radio's Casual Conversations. It's a huge honor to talk to you tonight, and I'm glad that you took the time out. And I've always listened to your recordings, and obviously they're some of the best. You've won multiple Grammys. Your artistry speaks for itself, and so do the recordings. But I'm going to throw you a curveball for your first question. What's your favorite kind of music non-classical? Like, do you like house music? Do you your clubbing music or disco music? What's your thing?
You know, I listen to all kinds of music. It actually depends on who's coming over that night. And, you know, sometimes we put some house music on. Sometimes we put piano jazz on. I like Latin music. I like Shaka Khan.
Oh, Shaka Khan. What do you know
Yeah,
about Shaka Khan?
well, that's all I want to do.
All right, now I want to be invited to the next Charles Bruffy party with house music.
You come on over,
All right, I'm holding you to
and
that.
don't forget the barbecue. You're bringing the food.
Okay, I'll bring my Memphis style ribs. How about that?
There you go.
All right, so we got a lot of questions for you tonight. We're going to put you on the hot seat at some point and just throw out a bunch of questions and see if you can answer them in 30 seconds or less. And it's a way we interact with the people that are coming to talk to you and watch this conversation. But I want to ask you, to what do you attribute the success of both of your professional choirs? I mean, the success is incredible. Tons of Grammy nominations, multiple Grammy wins. I mean, the Phoenix Chorale and the Kansas City Chorale, two of the best in the world. How do you do it, man?
Well, I just don't know any better. You know, that's really how I do it. I do what's in my heart, and the reason that they're successful is because the singers trust me, and I trust them, and they are willing to come to whatever I ask of them. Many times it's beyond what is possible, but they go anyway.
To respond to that directly, you said to whatever you ask of them. So are you like pretty demanding in rehearsals?
In a nutshell, yes. And we just we have a very high standard of where we live, and you know sometimes it is necessary to hold a phrase just 10 molecules longer than they have air for. But you know, when I put my hand under their sound, then they can achieve beyond what is human.
You know, I wish I could play this recording, but you talk about hold a phrase 10 molecules longer. And the first song that comes to my mind is the Dan Gothrop, Sing Me to Heaven. When you go, wraps me in song, and then you taper it with no breath into wraps me. And when I hear that phrase, every time I get goosebumps, and I'm thinking, this man, holy smokes, this so expressive. But that's one of those phrases that you're talking about, right?
That's exactly right. And do you see how the word raps, just as you did, it becomes onomatopoetic, actually, that we wanted the sound to envelop the listener and the heart. That is such an incredibly beautiful song, and the words are so honest. And I think it's so lovely that his wife wrote the words and then he set them.
Ah, Just incredible. I'm going to go on to the next question here, and I want to talk to you about this upcoming recording project with the Phoenix Chorale and the Kansas City Chorale. Can you talk to us about that?
We are recording the Rachmaninoff all-night Vespers. That's what it is. I always say the liturgy because that was the first Russian recording we ever did, and so that word always jumps out of my mouth. Sorry.
You did, was it the St. Christophdom? Well,
yeah, St. John Chrysostom.
Yeah, that was the first one, yeah. It's a great recording.
Yeah, but 2015 will be the 100th anniversary of the premiere of this Rachmaninoff piece. And so we have decided that we're going to put both choirs together and put up another recording of the work.
So I have to put you on the hot spot. This is not the hot seat. I'm just going to put you on the spot for a second. Is this one going to get nominated for a Grammy? Is it going to be that good?
Well, what our goal always is to reveal the most profound depth of the music, and that's our goal, and to have the listener feel something when they listen to our singing. If it happens to win a prize, oh, happy day. But that's never the goal.
I'm so glad that you brought that up because it just illuminates and how pure your heart is and how you're about the music and not about the actual prize. So that's awesome to hear. When can we expect that CD actually?
It's going to come out very shortly after the new year of 2015.
Oh, okay. Very good. Very good. So I have to throw in a curveball here. We have a question from Don, and he says, why do you have so many horses? And I want to talk to you about this. I know you're not on the hot seat yet, but the story, the rumor is that you are a total horse guy. You got to just talk to us about that.
It's fact. I don't, since I was born, I think when I came out, they spanked my little bottom, and instead of going, wah, like everybody else says, I went, I want a horse. I think that's my first words. Anyway, yeah, I have 14 horses.
Wait, let me make sure I got that right. Did you say 14 horses?
Yes, I did say that. And they're all Arabian, either purebred Arabians or part-bred Arabians, either with Dutch harness horses or with saddlebreds. And the thing I love about the horse, well, is its spirit. And, when you can look deep into their eyes and kind of get into their soul, and then their ears make that gathering twitch, to invite all of the sound to them. And the other thing that is funny yet fact is that when you're working with the horses, you have to think about them wholly, and singularly is what I mean, or you end up getting your head kicked off. So it's something that really takes me out of thinking about anything other than caring for them, communicating with them, and getting them to do what I want them to do.
Now, you brought up head kicked off. Have you had any horse injuries?
Well, that was a little extreme way to say that, wasn't it? Yes, in fact, I have had some minor injuries, and one time I came off. I'm not proud of that, but I did come off and have a compression fracture in T12. But I conducted a concert that very night.
Wait, are you serious? You really conducted a concert the night you had a horse accident?
Well, they tell me I did. and
we'll leave it there. How about that?
Yeah, but I think that everything was quite slow that night.
So did you watch the Derby recently?
No, I was at the barn playing with my own ponies.
Ah,
I know.
Do you ever watch horse racing?
Occasionally.
Okay. So I'm going to move on here, and I want to talk to you about this label you received in, I guess it was 1999 or so. The New York Times named Charles Bruffy as a potential heir apparent to Robert Shaw. Now, that's high pressure. I would never, if I were like a rock star conductor like you, even being named the heir apparent to Robert Shaw, that's a lot of pressure. That's scary stuff.
Getting out of bed in the morning is a lot of pressure and the scary stuff to me. It is such an incredible honor to have your name even mentioned in the same sentence as your heroes, like he was. And, you know, really the most affirming part about that was that it kind of signals that we're on the right track. And I am so very proud when I hear my choirs to think, I think Robert Shaw would like that. You know, it's really gratifying, and ooh, I got my own hairs there when I said that.
So now you also sang with Shaw, is that correct?
I did for about 10 years. It was a life-changing experience. Young people, take risks. That's what that's what I want to leave you with that.
Now,
the first year I saw the, you want me to go on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, the first year I saw the advertisement to send in an audition tape and then go over to France for a couple of weeks and do rehearsals and concerts, and then there was a job at Carnegie Hall, for concerts. And I thought, they're never going to hire me. Well, young people, they're not going to hire you if you don't put yourself out there and if you don't try. So the next year I make my audition tape and I kiss the envelope and I slide it through the slot, and then a couple of weeks later I get an invitation to go sing with Robert Shaw in France. And I walk into the rehearsal room and there is this huge circle of singers of the highest level. And it just, I didn't know you could listen for that kind of stuff. I didn't know you could hear that kind of stuff, because I, had been through school and came to it not yet having stretched out.
Wow. So I know we want to save some of these questions for the hot seat, but there's just a perfect transition question I have to ask you. This experience that you talked about of singing with Robert Shaw, one of your Phoenix Chorale singers, they have this question for you. It says, how does being a high caliber singer inform your rehearsal and conducting approach? And how is that different from other choral conductors who haven't been professional singers?
I know how it feels to do what I'm asking them to do. And I can govern the pace of the rehearsal in terms of vocal health and how the kind of singing we've been doing for the last hour, the voice is getting tired. We need to change gears. Those kinds of things. I think also it has helped in my vocabulary and communication with the singers about placement and vowel modification, maybe we'll just use that word. I was going to say manipulation, but I don't mean anything bad by that. Yeah.
I got you.
But I know the words, so I can invite the singers to make subtle little changes that then I think has a huge impact on how the listener responds.
That's fantastic. Well, it's obvious when you actually listen to the recordings, and the recordings are incredible. I mean, you can create so many different colors with both choirs, actually, and it's always been impressive to hear the colors that you've created over the years.
Thank you.
Great. So I want to ask a question. How are you able to make it work between two cities? I mean, how the rehearsal scheduled? I mean, do you live in Phoenix? Do you live in Kansas City? How does that work?
Well, I've used this before, but it feels like wherever I am, that I'm always home. When I am in Phoenix, where I am right now, actually, then I think, no, I don't want to go back to Kansas City. I love it here. When I'm in Kansas City, I think, oh, I don't want to go out to Phoenix. I love it here. And so I'm very lucky that, well, frankly, no matter how bad the weather gets in Kansas City, I always have a couple days of paradise when I come out to Phoenix in the wintertime. So that's a very happy part.
So how are the rehearsal scheduled? I mean, are they like you rehearsing once a week with each group?
Well, here's my busiest time rehearsal schedule. Kansas City Chorale Sunday night, Symphony Chorus Monday night, Independence Messiah Chorus Tuesday night, Rolling Hills Church Choir Wednesday night, Thursday morning get on a plane, Phoenix Chorale Thursday night, Friday night go back home to Kansas City on Saturday morning, and do something fun, darn it, on Saturday night, and then church Sunday morning, Kansas City Chorale Sunday night. And so don't ask me if I've seen any new TV shows.
Oh, well, you set me up perfectly, though. You said do something fun on a Saturday night. I want you on live television to describe the most epic, fun Saturday night for Charles Bruffy.
Oh,
And
wow.
you have to answer.
Okay. Uh, I know this doesn't sound as epic as perhaps you'd hope, but I love to eat good food. I, you know, I love to eat food that just makes your eyes roll back in your head, and that's the fun part for me. I like to eat.
You like to eat. So that actually somebody asked, what is your favorite restaurant in Kansas City?
In Kansas City, my favorite restaurant, gosh, there's a lot of them. But maybe Story. It's in Prairie Village, and also there's the Tavern in Prairie Village. I love Tatsu's,
Are
and
you?
there's a lot of good barbecue to be had in Kansas City.
I don't know about all that, but
I know, well,
that question actually came from Brent. But I do want to ask you, have you been to Houston's in Kansas City?
yes.
What, do you like it?
I yes, I've had some very good food there. I admit it. I like to go to uh, one off kind of restaurants versus chain.
Chains, fair enough. And I think
And
Houston's is probably one of the upper echelon restaurants in chain. Eh,
right, and they do a really good job. But I never like it when the restaurant has laminated menus.
Yeah,
That's a
I'm
sign.
with you on that. That is definitely a sign that you're about to get some pretty suspect food.
Yeah,
Unless it's well, actually, if you're in a barbecue joint, it's all paper. So,
there you go.
I do want to tell you, just a few weeks ago, actually, we had Eric Whitacre in the Minnesota Public Radio studio, and he was being interviewed by the managing director of classical, Brian Newhouse, and he talked about this story of Leonardo, and I don't want to give anything away, but he said that you gave him some advice. There was something going on in the rehearsal process, and Leonardo Dreams. That piece was written and performed and premiered by your group, correct?
That's right.
So could you tell us about that process?
It was very wild, and it was one of those early times of wow. Look at what technology is doing for the way we do things, because he would write some of the music, and then we would get an email with the scores in there, and then we would volley back and forth, and then um, he did have a handwritten manuscript, and that was one of the most generous and nice things I have ever seen anyone do. But he cut that manuscript up and gave it to each of the singers who sang in the premiere. Isn't that a generous thing? I
Yeah,
love it. It's
that's
so sweet.
that's incredible. Now he talked specifically about how he was about to cut the flight section of Leonardo. And a guy named Charles Bruffy stepped in and said, well, just give it another shot. Let's try it and see how it goes. Is that true?
If he says it's true, it must be true. And it turned out really good. So, yes, let's say it's true.
It definitely turned out. When you think about that piece without the flight section, you're thinking, whoa, really? So you actually had you played a big part in shaping that piece.
Well, we in both choirs get to work with living composers a lot. And it is just always such a gratifying experience when, through the voice of the choirs, these well-known composers hear something perhaps that is beyond what they had already considered, and then sometimes we show them a new way to do a particular moment in the music, and then it turns them on, and then they go off and write in new and or different ways. And that's a really great part of what we get to do.
And speaking of living composers, the Phoenix Chorale, I guess it was 2 years ago, released an Olayelo disc. Could you talk to us about that?
Yes, we did. And I'm very proud of that recording, and especially because there is such an incredible range of music. I mean, there's kind of some jazz music, and we use a tenor saxophone on there. And have you seen the video of that song?
I think it went up live just a few days ago, right?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Ted Belladin.
And now is Ola on the keyboard on that recording? Is he playing?
Yes, he is.
Ah, okay. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
now, there's some juice in there if you want to talk about it.
Some juice in where? Go ahead, elaborate. Tell me what you're talking about. Elaborate, my friend.
Picture this. A conductor conducting the composer's music with the composer at the keyboard. Are you hearing me? So we had a really wonderful time discussing ideas and some arm wrestling too.
I was wondering about that. So how was that artistic process? Like, did you ever get into any shouting matches during the recording process?
No, and we didn't ever slam any keyboards down or slam the music down. Nobody came away with a black eye.
Oh, that's great. All right, so we are pretty much into the hot seat area, and I have a few questions to ask you, and I'm getting texts. I keep looking down at my phone, and there are tons of texts and Twitter messages, so you're kind of a big deal. You really are.
Well, thank you.
So I want to ask you this question. This question comes from Clara. She says, what's left on your bucket list? What, like a piece to conduct, a place to visit, and an idol to meet? Let's go with all three of those.
Okay, a piece to conduct. I really want to record the Howells Requiem, the double choir Requiem. I really want to do that. All we need is time. Oh, okay, and some money. But every time we do Bach, I think, wow, I want to specialize in this music because it's just so intricate and requires such analysis and dissecting, and I just love the brain of that. And then when we do Russian music, I think, oh wow, we should specialize in the Russian music because I love how it feels in my blood. Okay, now what was the second part?
All right, now a place to visit.
Capri.
Oh. Any reason why?
Because we have some dear friends that used to vacation there, and they always said the most incredible things about how it felt to be at that place. And she died recently, and we never made it over there with them, and I want to. Well, I don't. Yeah.
Um, and an idol to meet.
Uh,
That's tough, right?
well, yeah, it really is tough because then, of course, do we ask the question living or deceased? This on this plane or another. Um, I will be honest with you. I have gotten to meet a lot of people, but the opportunity to talk with them is very rare, and especially that opportunity uh, where we can share ideas and be honest and vulnerable with one another. That's the most precious part to me. You know, I'm perhaps not as a god with star power as many people.
So, but you do recognize that you are a star.
Well, you keep saying that, and, and I keep thinking I'm just a guy.
Okay, I like it. All right, now I got some crazy questions. We're about to crank the heat up on the hot seat.
Okay.
All right, so what's your favorite nickname? I called you the Bruffinator today, and people have come up. I'm sure you've heard that before, but I want to know what is your favorite nickname?
Well, sometimes people call me the Bruff Meister. Sometimes they call me Chaz Bo. Um,
Oh, wait, we gotta stop right there. Did you say Chazbo?
yes,
That is epic. We gotta stick with that one for a little
that's
bit. But
pretty
go ahead,
sweet,
keep
isn't it?
going.
Yeah.
Chazbo,
And
yeah.
when I was growing up, they called me Beanie,
Beanie.
Beanie, or Beaner.
So what happens if you're at a conference and we might have tons of people watching this thing right now, and they come up to you and call you Beanie or Beaner?
I'm gonna think we're related.
All right, so this is a crazy question, but I think I actually should ask it.
Okay.
How many vampires have you slayed in reference to Bruffy, the Vampire Slayer?
Yes. Uh, I did have for a little while Ruffy the piano slayer. I had that for just a short little while.
Well, you got to tell me about that. Why were you a piano slayer?
Well, because um, the the work of the accompanist is so pivotal to the success of what the choir is doing, and it just is imperative that they be on the same page. And sometimes I've had to encourage them a little bit.
Encourage. I love that word. Now, are you a pianist as well? Can you also play?
My undergraduate degree is in piano,
Oh.
and
Now,
I'm not as good as I used to be at it.
okay. Now I gotta ask you. I, since you're on the hot seat and you are a singer, would you like to sing for us tonight? Would you like to serenade us?
Wow. I never can remember the words as the
Oh, you're gonna do us like that? See,
and when sunny gets blue, her eyes are gray and cloudy. I love those songs.
you just made my night.
Thank
Charles
you.
Bruffy serenaded me. I feel like it's just, oh, day couldn't have gone better. I can
Well,
just end the day with this serenade from Charles Bruffy. That is awesome.
thank you.
Well, it has been so great to have you on here, and I'm sorry that we didn't get to everybody's questions, but this has been such an incredible experience, and I hope we can have you back on, Charles. You've been great, and just want to send a shout out and thanks. You've been on Classical Minnesota Public Radio's Casual Conversations Volume 3.
I have
And
loved this, and thanks very much for having me. And anytime you want to get together, you just let me know. I'll be there.
all right, so if that's the case, I'm going to hold you to this. We're going to get together and we're going to have some Memphis barbecue. We're going to have a cocktail and we're going to watch some television since you don't get a chance to watch television.
Great.
And I'm gonna force you to watch some of my television shows.
Okay. Do I have to laugh out loud?
Yes. How about let's watch some Tyler Perry? Let's see what you do with a Tyler Perry
Okay.
movie.
There you go.
Do you know about Tyler Perry movies?
I do.
Get out of here.
I know. I am way more hip than I look. That's the right answer.
All right. How about this? This is what's going to happen. One of your concerts, I need you to come out in a Medea costume and conduct. And I know the people out there are probably thinking, who is Medea? But now you need to use the power of the Google machine and look up Medea and Tyler Perry.
That's a big challenge.
All right, Charles, it's been great. Thank you for being on Classical Minnesota Public Radio's Casual Conversation series. We hope to have you back soon, and I look forward to meeting you at this summer.
All right. We'll see you there. Thank you.
All right. You take care, Charles.
Bye.